morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. My guest this morning, Mr. Malaki Ugumadu, who is a lawyer. Everybody knows that, the people's lawyer. There are so many people's lawyers in this country. You certainly are one of them. Former national president of the Committee for Defense of Human Rights.
Thank you.
Thank you as always for coming on. And Mr. Demola Adegoke is a communications consultant. Thank you very much for coming also.
Thanks for inviting me, and good morning.
Indeed.
Home.
So we shall be talking anti-corruption today. If we're not talking voting and EFCC, I don't know, we're talking anti-corruption. Maybe one day we'll come and talk about, because the president has just come back from Ethiopia, as you know, and between the two presidents, they've signed this, non-visa agreement for diplomatic and official staff. No concern the rest of us, but to ease what you call. Maybe we'll talk about diplomacy from one of these days. But let's focus a bit on the anti-corruption. I don't know if it's a battle, I don't know if it's a war, but let's say the fight against corruption. And I'm reminded here of where Abia State government has been in the news. The EFCC is investigating goings on in their finances over there. Last week, yes, I believe it was, EFCC was actually quizzing. And let me get this right, because it does make for, interesting reading and hearing. It all comes from a petition that was filed against the former governor, who is now a serving senator. And this petition was 3 years ago, but EFCC is taking its time, and now they have commenced. Quoting from the Premium Times, for example, they say that the investigation actually follows a March 17, 2017 petition filed by a group, Fight Corruption, Save Nigeria group. Now the details, the real cocoa, as it were, of it is that Mr. Orji, the governor, there are two Orjis in there, and the two of them have become senators. The first Orji, let's put it like that. The first Orji, Uzo Kalu, Orji Uzo Kalu, yeah, that's that one. He's serving a 12-year jail term right now, having been found guilty of corruption and money laundering and all of that. Now, he's not related to the second Orji, who also is a serving senator at the moment. But he was his chief of staff. That is, Orji was the chief of staff of the first Orji. And so here we are. Now, this second Orji, now Senator Orji, is very confusing because both of them are senator. So this latest Orji now, and his son Chinedum, who is the Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, currently, these people, I understand, have been questioned by the EFCC. Now, the details of it is that the petitioner is accusing Senator Orji, the latest Senator Orji, the one currently serving, the one who is not in jail. They're accusing him that, look, during his 2 terms, between 2007 and between 2007 and 2011, they accuse him of withdrawing 500 million naira monthly as security vote from the state treasury. Now they say since leaving office as governor, so the report continues, the details is that he's accused of diverting, quote, 383 billion naira revenue from the federation account, that's one. Then 55 billion naira excess crude revenue, 2.3 billion naira sure P revenue, 1.8 billion naira ecological funds, 10.5 billion naira loan, 12 billion naira Paris Club refund, 2 billion naira agricultural loan, and 55 billion naira something called Asopadek money while in office. And then they take care, the petitioners take care to say that they want to point out that all these monies does not include, it's not part of the security funds expended on the Nigeria Police, the Nigeria Army, the DSS, Navy, anti-kidnapping squad, anti-robbery squad, purchase of security equipment, and vehicles for the security agency. So they're probably saying that don't begin to think that maybe all these monies might have been spent in those ways. The calculations that they have made doesn't include all of those sums. as I said, it's something of a salacious story. I mean, maybe you'll forgive me for referring to notes there and quoting directly where I'm getting this from. This is from Premium Times, and I had to read that because just couldn't remember all of those details. It's a 3-year-old allegation, first submitted to the EFCC in 2017, and now the EFCC coming out with it now. And by the way, I didn't say, but because I did mention the son of current Senator Orji, who is the Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly. He's also been accused of having in excess of 100 bank accounts and some decent change, let us put it like that, in those accounts. He'll be explaining to the EFCC, depends on. So I think it's important to say that this is an allegation.
Correct.
This is an allegation. It's a petition. And the EFCC will let us know whether there's anything to the allegation or not. But let me kick off. It's noteworthy because of the sheer scope of the alleged wrongdoings by the Theodore Orji family. We're dealing specifically with the Theodore Orji family now. We're leaving Uzo, Kalu, that one. I think the case is just about finished. The current Kalu is representing, and let me get this straight, I believe it is it not Abia Central? I think so. And the other one is Abia North. North. There you go. So if you will kick off Malaki, what do you think of this? The very notion and the scope, and also, if you will, please comment on the fact that this allegation in the form of a petition was submitted to the EFCC 3 years ago, and we're hearing about the first move, perhaps, of the EFCC questioning current Senator, Theodore. Let me just be saying Senator Theodore Orji.
Again, thank you for inviting me. But I think I'd like to start by expressing my sympathy for the people of Abia State. A state that has now, as it were, witnessed the sentencing of a former governor on account of sleaze, corruption. It's no longer, it's beyond prevarication.
Yes,
ambivalence.
That has been sorted.
Clear cases of corrupt activities. And the figures were known then. The same state still bleeding and wrecking under the weight and pains of the activities of the former government.
The alleged activities.
No,
it's
concluded.
The former governor. Okay.
It's now
two former governors, and both of them are named.
I'm familiar with those Orjis. Yes. Theodore Orji, Orjis of Kalu. And you see, the interesting aspect is that the present Orji was the chief of staff to the former Orji who has been convicted. Now, I can talk as a lawyer freely because it is just a mere investigation. The allegations are not yet sub judice. They are not matters of any judicial intervention at the moment. Whether we'll get there, time will tell. But it seems it's pointing to that direction. But what is important, and that is talking about your 3-year time frame within which this allegation is now gaining momentum by way of snippets of investigation, is that under our criminal laws, criminal statutes, the general criminal jurisprudence of this country, there are no time limits when you are talking about crimes and criminality. If we find who killed Delegua today, the matter can be reopened.
Because it's a criminal matter.
Because it's a criminal matter, as distinct from civil matter that has limitations of time in relation to various causes of action. But that's aside. So 3 years, yes. If it takes that long to get to the meat of the matter, not by way of speculation or rumors or political mudslingings, but by way of cold fact that irresistibly leads you to the path of investigation preparatory to trial, so be it. We would have wished that, given that the country is bleeding seriously out of these criminal or alleged criminal activities, one would have opted for earlier, time range within which corruption cases are investigated, tried, and then convicted.
Okay. Can I come back to you, please?
Very well.
Because Ademola, the EFCC, again, reading, and that's just about all that we can do, read about it in the press, has said that, well, people need to know that it isn't always immediately after a petition has been received that they can act on it. And so that sort of will explain, in addition to what Malaki has said, why, for those who ask, if it's 3 years ago, why now?
Well, yes, one will be concerned about, the time frame it took EFCC to investigate this matter. But like he said, maybe we should be less concerned about how long it takes EFCC to investigate. What we should be concerned about is the diligence with which the investigation has been carried out.
Okay.
If it takes EFCC 3 years to conduct the investigation into this matter, and they now are able to come out with cast iron, proof of actual wrongdoing, I think justice will have been served. What matters is not the time frame, actually, for me, it is, what matters for me is that in the end, justice will have been served. Especially if this is true. If this is true, like he said, we need to pity that state. And I know that this is just coming out, of Abia. There are so many other states like that, you understand?
Yeah.
So we need to pity, the system, that allows this, to continuously happen. So what matters for me is that in the end, justice will be done. And
as I reeled out all of those with the, that I took off the report of Premium Times, and it must be another press, but I was quoting directly from Premium Times. The sheer weight of the allegations, the detailed nature of it, I imagine the EFCC will need to be cautious to investigate to see if there's any cause for it to take it up, because Malaki and I think yourself have alluded to the fact that you have to be careful. So it's not just that this is just not political slandering
and if one may
and all that kind of a thing.
If one may add, see, like the allegation says, from what we read, 100 accounts, in different banks.
That is in Chinedum's, the son of the subject of this petition.
They go
the current, Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly.
I think for you to investigate that large number of transactions in 100 accounts, different accounts, and in different banks, it's surely will take time.
Now, this is a problem. And what I mean by that is that we've said that Theodore Orji is a serving senator as we speak. Chinedum Orji, his son, is the speaker in the Abia State House of Assembly. That this has hit the airwaves, I don't know, what I meant by it being a problem, shouldn't these people step aside or step down, or because this is not chicken feed. This is not, we're looking for 500 million naira.
Well, since Nigerian politician or the political elite, we debated political elite and political class the other day, have all matured to the extent that we don't see within their ranks that discipline, that patriotism to step aside and save the system from the heat associated with, particularly with respect to negative stories. Then we will be asking that there will be a fast track in the processes that leads to either their exoneration or their indictment. albeit conviction, because 3 years, for instance, is just 1 year short of a tenure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for a country to be subjected to those lines of debate, it will not just be a distraction. You will also see an interplay of forces. You've mentioned a former governor, you've mentioned an incumbent governor, you've mentioned the senators, you've mentioned speaker, all from one state with respect to one. I think the commission needs to be commended at this point, because a combination of these actors put together is enough to quench any such move if you don't have a corresponding resolve on the part of the agency, the anti-corruption agency. That is one signal suggesting that something is happening. Are there room for more? Certainly there are. But you know, the EFCC Act is very clear on the powers and the scope of the power they have to investigate and possibly prosecute offenses of financial crimes. The country itself has declared under Section 15, Subsection 5, that it shall be the business of the Nigerian state to abolish corruption and all forms of abuse. That is Section 15, Subsection 5, clearly under the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. If you take it to Section 88, Subsection 2, it speaks about the power of the legislature to also investigate corrupt activities. Now, the hunter has become the hunted, in the sense that with respect to that particular state, the primus inter pares, the head of the legislative arm of government, is the one indicted.
Yes.
And that lends credence.
That is the Right Honorable Chinedum
yes, yes, if you want to be less confused, you put Enyinaya. It distinguishes him from all the other legion of Orges.
Okay.
So he is the speaker, and he is the current speaker of the State House of Assembly. And I have talked about how the responsibility of the House also includes the fight against corruption and investigation over corrupt activities.
One moment, please.
Very well.
Forgive me for interrupting you. Jeff is calling in from Abia State. Good morning, Mr. Jeff.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Please, Uncle Yori, I'm calling from Abia State.
Yes.
And there is one thing that I believe that the president can do for us, Abian. The only thing, we thank God that Ojo Sokalo has gone to prison. We hope he stays there. DOJ, he should also go to prison, Uncle Yori, including his son. If you know the level of infrastructural decay we have suffered in this state, it is unbelievable. These men are like gods. They don't care about the state. They don't care about the welfare of the citizens of the state. They don't give a care about anything that happens to us. They don't do any infrastructural work here. They don't do anything for. We are suffering in this state. This is the worst state in the whole of the federation. It's unbelievable what is happening in this state. We don't have good roads.
One moment, Mr. Jeff. One moment, Mr. Jeff.
Yes.
Even if they had done all those that you are complaining they allegedly have not done, it still wouldn't have been all right, this allegation.
Correct.
Uncle Yori, you are right. Even if they have not done all those things. But what doing very well. This state is supposed to be the economic hub of the East. But we generate a lot of revenue. Our IGR here is so high when compared to the level of development. We should have gone beyond where we are presently.
Okay.
We are the worst state in all, excluding the northeastern states where they have maybe unrest. This state is the worst state in the whole of the federation, Uncle Yori.
Could I just point out, Mr. Jeff? Could I just point out, Mr. Jeff, that at the moment,
yes,
this is an allegation, right, that is being investigated.
Uncle Yori, there is no smoke without fire. Uncle Yori, you don't make an onion, you don't make an omelette without breaking egg. When you state beneath, we know what we are saying. Even the present governor, if I have to go into details, what I may reveal to you, it might not be very, very, very. It might not be sounding right on national television, but I will not go into that because these men, they kill. And when you complain about what they are doing here, they come after you.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Jeff, thank you very much for calling in. Really appreciate your call. And Demola, continuing the theme that, Malaki started, the idea of, look, voluntarily stepping aside. Well,
just to bury that point.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, do indeed bury it, because that is what we were on. I was asking whether we don't have that culture of resigning or doing, quote unquote, the right thing.
Correct.
You've put these heavy duty allegations on the ground. I have heard no comment from them as to, you know what, this is scandalous, this is outrageous. In fact, we're stepping aside so that this can be plainly investigated.
The same way the vice president at a point volunteered to forgo his immunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That. Yes.
So, please, I think I should assist in saying that Abia State, within the context of this discourse, is used as a metaphor for everyone.
Really.
Because I am from Delta State, and I just returned from Delta State a fortnight ago. I can take, and you mentioned there is an aspect of the allegation that has to do with the ecological front.
Yes.
Where I come from, there are certain periods of the year you cannot bury people, even if they die. You can't dig water.
Because of
flood.
Ecological
challenges. I leave that to say that the last caller called from
Abia State.
Umuahia.
Okay.
The state capital.
That is the state capital. Now, if you hear of Abia State, hear of Delta State, hear of River State, these are states that ought to, individually as states, be able to deal with some of the challenges that people are complaining about now. But I recognize that all of these people who have been alleged to have committed these offenses, humongous as they are entitled to their rights to fair hearing, particularly the question of their innocence. Their innocence is presumed until we hear what the courts will say.
In the meantime, Bernard has come on the line. Good morning, Mr. Bernard.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Calling in from Benue State.
Yes. Hi, Uncle Yori. I so much love your program.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Look at what is happening in Abia State. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Could you believe that in Benue State today, state civil servants are being owed 5 months arrears. Local government is 7 months arrears. Pensioners and primary school teachers is 1 year, 12 full months, not paid. We are not sure of the new minimum wage now. Instead, the governor is reviewing our salary downward. Each worker is being deducted between 6,000 to 10,000 naira and thereafter, depending on your grade level. And what they are being told is there's no money. And this is the same thing that's happening. And they are the one in Benue is giving work. I think Benue is the only in Nigeria today that is still owing the civil servant up this amount. Benue workers, if not because of the food we produce here, I'm telling you, the number of days would have been unprecedented. No one could have, shaded how many people have died because people are just dying in silence, in silence. Many people have
but we don't know if there are any wrongdoings in Benue State. The ones that have been alleged concern Abia State.
I'm just telling you that what is happening in Abia, what is happening here is even more in Abia. Because in Abia State, I think civil servants are paid out to date. But just as I told you, you can investigate.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Forgive me for interrupting you, Bernard. Thank you very much for calling in. I've got to rush off on a commercial break. We'll be right back and we'll continue this conversation. Fight Corruption, Save Nigeria Group. That's the organization that has petitioned the EFCC it did so back in on March 17, 2017, about 3 years ago now, alleging that Senator Theodore Orji, and former governor of Abia State and one-time chief of staff to the jailed Orji Uzo Kalu, that he, was guilty of that he allegedly ripped off the people of Abia State. I read it copiously that time, quoting directly from one of the papers, Premium Times. The allegations include that he's accused of diverting 383 billion naira revenue from the Federation account, 55 billion naira from the excess crude account revenue, 2.3 billion naira from the Shopee revenue, and 1.8 billion naira from ecological funds account, 10.5 billion naira loan. I think the allegation is that he, just took over that one. Then there's 12 billion naira from their share, the Abia State share of the Paris Club refund. Then, relatively speaking, the chicken feed of 2 billion naira from the Agricultural Loan Fund and 55 billion naira from Asopadek money, all of this while in office. Those were the allegations put against the serving governor. And we've read since then that even the Honorable Chinedum Orji, Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, himself has over 100 bank accounts. So all of these investigations are being, all of these allegations are being looked into by EFCC. Now, Demola, I made the point that with this kind of material put out there, and you haven't heard either from Right Honorable Chinedum Orji, Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, that he's stepping down for his deputy to take over because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work together. For me to have those allegations, I'm going to step aside, clear my name, and I'll come back when due. The distinguished Senator Theodore Orji, representing the people of Anambra Central. I hope I've got that right. Abia Central, because the two Orjis, one was representing the North, Abia North, the other one Abia Central. So I just hope I got it right, that the one I'm allocating to him now is the correct one. They haven't stepped aside so that as people concerned with law and lawmaking, both of them, father and son, they haven't stepped aside so that this should, is that, what does that say about us? Or is it asking for too much?
I don't think so. I don't think it's asking for too much. You see, the problem in this we have in this part of the globe is that maybe the Orwellian principle of all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Is the case here? I mean, I don't think there is any other.
The fight against corruption we say we are doing?
So you see, because I know where I'm going by saying that all animals are equal, but some are more equal. In the public service, if a public official is accused of any wrongdoing, maybe you've been given a query, there, an investigation panel is set up. While that is going on, you go on interdiction.
Yes.
You go on interdiction. They are not saying that you've been found guilty of that accusation. But for you not to use your office to impede the course of investigation and justice, you are interdicted. When the matter is concluded, investigation is concluded, and everything ends, if you are found not guilty, you are recalled.
But I do not, against the backdrop that father and son, the Orji father and son, are both concerned with lawmaking. So they should know this. They would know this.
So if that happens in public office, you understand, I do not know why we cannot replicate same. You understand?
In
this case.
Mr. Abaji in Agege has been waiting for a while.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Abaji.
Yeah, you are speaking with Dr. Abati, not Mr. Abaji.
My apologies,
yeah.
Dr. Abati.
Abaji.
Is it Abaji?
Good morning.
Or Abati?
Thank you for this program.
Thank you, sir.
It's not Abaji, Abati.
Okay,
Dr. Abati. Dr. Abati.
T-I, not J-I.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, and good morning to your guests there.
Good morning.
I think this program is very, very important in the sense that it's touching on the things that affect our life seriously. And I want the body that wrote the petition to EFCC to see it as a duty that they should go around all the states. And they should arrange it alphabetically. You know, it's now the turn of Abia. It should go to Anambra and then come to Ogun State in particular, where it belongs. You see, there is no state that it can be free of this corruption. They are all corrupt, even up to the local government. I want the tenure of PDP in Ogun State, the 8-year tenure of Governor Benga Dane to be proved. This man did a road in my area, and we were very happy that the road was done, not knowing that he just put in the black asphalt on the road. Within 3 years, the road has gone back to the place it was before. It is even worse than what it is. Please, the body that wrote this petition.
But no allegation has come out of Ogun State yet.
That is what I'm telling you. We cannot help ourselves. Let them help us to write the petition. Let them go deep into the account. Even the recent governor that led there cannot be said that it's not corrupt. All of them, they are corrupt, up to local government. This body should help us. Let this body go around and see the account of what they say.
Okay.
I'm telling you, they will help us. It's not the turn of Abia. Let it go to Anambra alphabetically like that. Let them put it down to the level.
Okay, then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for calling in. So, Fight Corruption, Save Nigeria group. Well, there's that's a communication out to you guys. I don't know. Are we being overwhelmed? People sometimes say things that we know are hyperbolic. That somebody will call in and say, "Look, stop wasting our time. Can we just go ahead and legalize corruption?" That explains the frustration they feel.
Yeah.
Combine it with what I've heard this morning that you reminded us of George Orwell. You know, some animals are more equal than others. I don't know that the judiciary will be agreeing with that, but we understand.
In practice, you see, like I was saying that if, you know, what happens in public service, you know, is replicated even in the political arena too. By now, the OGs,
yes,
Theodore OG and the son, will not be occupying the offices they are differently occupying.
So
but
you can see influence going on in there.
But then, you know, elsewhere, it's a culture. It's a culture. Once, you know, an allegation of this magnitude is, you know, made against you,
have to step aside.
But since we do not have that culture here, can't we come up with maybe either a law or whatever that makes it mandatory on you that once, you know, this type of allegation, you know, is made against you, while investigation continues.
Especially as the allegation was made 3 years ago on March 17, so you can say that EFCC has taken the past 3 years to evaluate whether it's a serious allegation or not. Serious enough for it to pursue.
So for holders of public office, I would want to say that maybe there can be a law that will say, okay, once you step aside. We are not saying you are guilty, but you step when you know you are cleared. You can come back to your position.
Reverend Dominic, thank you for holding on. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Yori. Good morning, my two friends in the studio there.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yori, I don't agree with those allegations and the figures.
Okay.
The truth is this. The OJ is very, very, very corrupt. But those numbers cannot fly. 3 years, you go and do due diligence. You will also go to prison like Oji Carlos. I brought that news for you here because we followed that case. Told you that Oji Carlos have gone to prison. I did this for you. This one also will go. I'm not also bothered about his son. Let's take it one after the other. Let's take the governor, the former governor first, and find him guilty so we can get to his son. Just like Oji Kalu, when we went to the son, let's take it one after the other. It's just number, honestly, Abia State doesn't have that kind of money. But Joe Dodgy is very, very, very corrupt. If they go into it, they will find 1 billion or 2 billion or 100 million or 10 million. You have to go to prison. But don't mind those figures, honestly. I have looked at it.
All right, then. Thank you very much, and good morning. That's why it's important that we don't really have an interest here, but we're reporting, we're commenting on what has been reported, you know, and these are allegations, as I think I've emphasized about 2 or 3 times in the program. These are allegations that professionals will be looking into, and then, if necessary, I think Malaki was making the point earlier, they can go ahead and prosecute. But at this stage, they will know whether there's anything in it or not. And at least that gentleman, Dominic, has called in to say that I have my doubts about those. Well,
two quick points about that. It's almost synonymous with the situation we're having with the fight against insurgency, where the debates have graduated to it is 10 people and not 5. I think the point is that even if it is 1, you may have as well breached the fundamental purpose of governance.
Yes. No, Dominic made that point.
Yes.
It's just that he said the figures, Abia hardly has that kind of money.
I thank Reverend Dominic, who is very, very conscious Nigerian, given the way he intervenes and participates in phone-in programs. I appreciate that the cynicism has gotten to its zenith with our people, and that is understandable. If you say somebody has 100 accounts, you could absorb that by asking yourself the first question: how and for what purpose?
I didn't want to waste our time by going into the alleged figures in some of those accounts.
Let's leave out, in addition to the fact that even as a lawyer, it's a bit difficult to discuss issues like this, because at the topmost of your mind is the innocence of the people being alleged against. Because it could as well be that they may be innocent. But the general picture out there, the general perception and the facts that are beginning to come out. Ojo Kalu is not the only governor that is cooling off in Nigerian prison today. We're having all of them.
Yes, we have other governors. Go on. Mohammed, Mr. Mohammed, that's in Maiduguri, I believe.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Please, I would like to comment about this looting of this public fund.
Yes, the alleged looting in Abia.
Yes. So I think it's not the only governor. I think it's a teamwork. Why calling the governor alone? All those cohorts and others should be called into book so as to serve as an example to others. 1. 2. This EFCC and others should find at least precautions for misappropriation of public funds. Not that it's when people temper the money before a lot of things may come in, Magu and others. I think it doesn't make sense, all this issue. The Magu too, when collecting this money, when retrieving this money from the people, what do we do about it since it's a public fund? A lot of people have been participating on this devious act. Nothing that is taking a good measure to it. We have heard a lot about Abacha's phone, all these kind of people. Where is those money kept for? And what do they do with the money? We are in serious trouble.
Okay.
This is one of those things that brings a lot of problems.
But Mr. Mohammed,
because
Mr. Mohammed
will be going finding solution to their problem.
Mr. Mohammed,
where they started kidnapping, yes.
They haven't. You see, these allegations, the people concerned have not stepped aside. How do you feel about that? After 3 years, it took 3 years for EFCC to begin investigations. Now they have begun. They have not stepped aside. How do you feel about that?
To be sincere, if so, this is afterthought. It's afterthought. That one has happened. And it's now that we started finding how to retrieve that money. The money is not even close by. It is even wise to strike a line and start pressing a very different issue to find a very good precaution. I think would have been better, sir.
Okay, sir. Oh, well, thank you for calling in. If you understood me, I'm not sure you understood me, but if you did, I wanted to know from Mr. Mohammed, why don't they step aside so that they can be unimpeded investigation that will prove they're innocent, which I'm sure must be their position, both Honorable Chinedum and the father, the senator.
But I think he made a valid point, away from misunderstanding you, and that is that look, very soon, and I'm sure that Magu will not continually be the chairman. Acting chairman of EFCC. The same way we had Nuhu, Ribadu, Lamude, and Farida. I think the point he made, which is important and need to be emphasized, is that, look, I think at this stage, Nigeria must begin to now deal with the subjective, if you like, objective conditions that breed this corruption in the first place.
That is it.
How do we, what is the attitude of a government and a state and a country that merely relies on their faith in reacting to corrupt activity? How, in other words, how do we wait until the corruption occur and then we're beginning to chase those? In most cases,
that's what he meant.
That is the point.
All this is an afterthought. Let me bring in Dominic, this time in the UK. Good morning, and he's not a reverend, not at least until he tells me. Good morning, Mr. Dominic.
Good morning, sir, Uncle Yori.
Okay, sir. Good morning.
I want to thank you guys for this particular program. You know, you guys are doing a lot.
Thank you.
We are in overseas here. Do you people know that the aftermath that was being done to Abia people, that we are the one feeling the most? We ran away because of what this is. That's why we are in exile. Because of what these guys are doing to us. That's why you see all Nigeria going here and there. So, but what I want the president to do now, like the person from Ogun State, who said they should start with alphabetical order. All of their thieves, they are all thieves. When you see their thieves, that's when you know. What we are doing now, we are going from school to school. We are not compiling their names. Where do they get the money? Because I know how much I pay. I know how much I work. I know how I'm suffering to pay my school fees. So these people come, they bring money, you do not know where they bring it. Then they are there gallivanting around. Now, husband see, they don't go there again. Let me tell you, the cost of buying face in London has risen so high because these guys, when they come, they are wearing face cap because they don't want us to see them. So at the end of the day, the cost of buying face cap already corrupted over here. That's one side of it. What I want them to do now, if the government can take them in alphabetical order, it doesn't matter if it has nothing to do with this now. Right from the time they begin to practice democracy, we have their names. Here. Come here, I'll give you their names, state to state. We are watching what is going on. These guys put us in this. When I say because we're trying to see how we can back.
That line has gone bad, but thank you very much, Mr. Dominic. We did get the essence of what you're saying. We heard you clearly. You also have added your voice to the call for the alphabetical, approach. And you're actually advising Fight Corruption, Save Nigeria group. In fact, I think the gentleman from Ogun State, Dr. Abati, was that him?
Abati.
Dr. Abati had said that, and not Ruben Abati.
No, Ruben, no Ruben.
Dr. Abati. You know, he's from Ogun State, but he was calling from Agege. He seemed to be saying that we can't help ourselves. Yes. So these people should help us. Now, that's a telling comment. We can't help ourselves was the way Dr. Abati put it. And so until you have MGO types like this, first of all, would you like to, could I hear your comments on that? Maybe, Mayaki, in brief, that plea we can't help ourselves. If we don't have fight corruption, fight corruption, save Nigeria group, is that in fact the truth?
Well, Dr. Abati should appreciate that what is needed in this kind of campaign is not the full-blown off the street, on the street activity. If Dr. Abati, given the passion that he has communicated, at least with his contribution, will do well to gather as much information that he has.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And make available to, there are civil society organizations that are dedicated to anti-corruption.
And they themselves need to be helped.
In short, I am just hearing about Save Nigeria, Stop Fight Corruption. I'm just hearing it for the first time.
There you go.
There are other traditional organizations that are committed on there is zero corruption, there is corruption against leaders, Kakol and Co. If he could merely gather this information, pass it on, he may have been contributed.
Okay. Mr. Chike in Ojo, did I get that right?
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Can you people turn that thing off, please?
My name is Chike. I'm calling from Ojo Barracks.
Ojo Barracks.
The issue is not that.
Can you speak up a bit, please?
Because this time, what they did in Abia was very terrible.
Okay.
What they did in Abia.
What they allegedly did.
Of course.
Allegedly did.
I look at myself as also a victim. I did a job for. Sir?
I say allegedly did.
It's not okay.
An allegation. It's an allegation.
I did a job for them some time ago.
Okay.
And for 10 years, 10 good years, I've been trying to get my money from them.
Okay. All right.
Allegedly.
Please continue.
I did a job for them, and for 10 good years, in fact, getting to 15 years, that money has not been paid. And the information I'm getting is that at a certain point, they paid the money. One of the officers that I even was thinking that was helping, the money was paid to me. He collected the money. And when I wrote a letter to Oji again, I said, sir, this money, just 300 and something thousand for a little job I did for you. He said, your money has been, he set up a panel or something like that, and they investigated the money, found out the money was being sent to one of his states. Instead of sending the money to me, he collected the money. And when I called him again, the man was mad. In fact, he started threatening me that if I don't keep quiet, that money, he has used that money for the governor for whatever he told him to do for him, that I should go ahead and ask him to send my money back again. Do you know this thing continued, and for up till this moment that I'm talking to you, the job I did in 1990, you understand? I've updated my account from year to year, to be collecting money from it. Since that time up to today, that money has not been paid.
Okay.
So I discovered that the situation in Nigeria is terrible.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in.
Unfortunately for him, unlike criminal matters, there is time limit within which you can enforce a contract that is breached. So if it's over 15 years, I'm not sure you can even approach the court again.
Well, you know, you'd be surprised. It always happens. We've run out of time, basically. And I think if I was to remember one sentence from our conversation today, there are quite a number of important ones, but that this Abia story
has become a metaphor,
for every other state,
including Delta State,
including Delta State, which has its own story. And then Dr. Abati said, let them take it alphabetically. You start, let it be that they started with Abia. Please go on.
Right before down. You get to Zamfara.
But there you go, a mind-boggling allegation against a former governor and his son, for that matter. EFCC has just started, and we thought we'd just air that and hear what people are saying. And it was Mr. Mohammed from Maiduguri who said that all of this is an afterthought. What is going? What do they do with the monies? I suppose we shall keep our eyes on it. We shall keep our ear to the ground. And in the meantime, I'm going to thank you, Mr. Malaki Ogumadu and Mr. Demola Adegoke for coming on and sharing your insights.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Indeed. Thank you very much. So that's our program today. Let me say for the third time, the ladies are watching, they are not participating. I'm saying it for the third time. For some reason, they don't want to contribute yet. They're just watching and sit down looking. Okay, that's where they contribute. There you go. Okay, it's all good then. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.